The show has started. And I'm not even talking about my show. I'm talking about the show. The show that I've been waiting for to start. The show that I've been trying to spark off myself, but I'm just not famous enough, and I don't have enough of a name for it to mean anything. But thank God we have somebody out there, somebody that I've always heralded as a good man and heralded as a true fighter in this game. Mr. Steven Crowder is exposing the right-wingers, the fake right-wingers that I've been telling you, and that I've been somewhat theorizing, because I haven't had proof, that kowtow to the left wing and suck their dicks every chance they get. And I'm so glad that we have somebody that's actually out there now exposing exactly what I knew was going on. And it's how I knew the red wave wasn't coming. I was one of the few right-wing conservatives in media that predicted that. And that wasn't just me being negative or me being, getting lucky. I knew there wasn't going to be a red wave. And it's because I know the problems that conservative media has. And I've been pointing them out for quite a while now. And I've been losing subscribers for it. I've been losing support myself for it. Because I've been actually criticizing right-wing media and conservative media way more than I have the left. And that's because I realized that that was the problem. And it all makes sense when you actually look at what's going on with Crowder. And let me just catch you up in case you don't know. More or less, Crowder's been in this, I guess, sort of weird limbo kind of position in terms of, being signed to a big term deal. And the thing is that I guess he's been sort of getting contract offers from a lot of big names in conservative media. And he didn't like the contracts. And listen, I come from the music industry, so I know a thing or two. I know a thing or two about a thing or two. I know a thing or two about slave contracts. And that's the thing that destroyed the music industry and why actually, independent musicians have been just saying fuck a record deal. Why do it when I could just do it independent? And we're sort of in that position here when it comes to right-wing media. So, long story short, Crowder exposed what he's calling big con media, and I think that's a great name for it. And showing that they've been kowtowing to the same big tech giants that they've been speaking out against. So it looks very suspicious. It looks very, very suspect. And we're going to talk about some people that you may respect yourself out there, people that I've respected throughout this whole move. But then there's people that I know. And there's this contract that Steven put out that he exposed. He hasn't really told who gave him this contract, but we all have our suspicions. I'm sure you have your suspicions out there, and I definitely have my suspicions, and I'm going to make those known in a little bit. But let's go through the contract first. And I'm going to show you how they're kowtowing to the left wing in their contracts. They're kowtowing to big tech giants out there that have been censoring conservatives. And I've been saying for the longest time they're getting away with it because we're letting them get away with it. And by we, I meant conservative media. We live in America. They can't make us do anything. They can't make us say anything. There's a way to fight this. It's just the people. I've been saying that they were cowards. However, I was actually giving them the benefit of the doubt. It's actually way worse than them just being cowards. You're going to see that they're in cahoots with the people that are banning us, the people that are censoring us. So let's go through a little bit of this contract. So I'm gonna there's gonna be certain parts of the contract I'm not even gonna waste time with because, and I'll explain it first, because it has to do with whatever deal that these people offered Steven Crowder. Because he's not explaining how much money they offered him. He's not explaining, you know, some of the terms of the contracts. That I'm not saying he's doing it out of any nefarious reasons. But in order for us to judge the contract on those certain parts, we would have to know exactly what they offered him to know whether or not the contract was unreasonable or reasonable. So I'm going to more go along with the ideology of what these contracts should be and how these contracts are no different, or if anything worse, than the contracts you would sign with a liberal organization or a liberal record label or left-leaning companies. You're going to see that it's just as long as you kowtow and as long as you do what they say, you're going to be just fine here at blank blank conservative media company, insert name here. So let's start here. I'm going to remove the chat for a second there. So we'll just start with the basics of this, where more or less this is the epitome of a slave contract, where you sign this deal, we pay you whatever money, and you give us everything, and we own everything, and we control everything. So merch rights. We will maintain the exclusive rights to create and sell Crowder and Crowder content branded merchandise. All remuneration for the blank and exploitation of these rights is included in the fee. So that's what I mean by the fee. So for instance, that is one of those things that we can't necessarily tell. Like if they offered him buku amount of bucks, let's say they offered him fucking $500 million, that wouldn't be so unreasonable that, hey, we're gonna sell merch with your we gotta make some money from you if we're giving you this amount of money. So depending on what the fee is, can tell whether or not that's being unreasonable. So that's not where we're going. This I think is unreasonable, kind of no matter where you're signing, because a lot of people won't tell you in business, email lists, especially when you're doing an online based business, email lists are probably the most important things that you have, because it's truly the only way, especially with the way they shadow ban and the way they they're spying literally on DMs, and they're I'm sure they're blocking certain things from going through. Emails, which those are compromised as well, don't get me wrong, but email addresses are really the closest way you can get to your clientele and to your fan base and to whoever you're trying to sell merch to, or the mug club or whatever it is. Just it's really the most grassroots way when it comes to digital marketing, is getting people's email addresses. That's actually very important. That's why a lot of these companies, when you go into like a Brandsmart or Best Buy or something, they want your email address. It's because they want to send you a bunch of shit, and it's pretty much just to sell you stuff. And eventually they make money somewhere in the line of that, where some people may see something and go, oh, well, I'm actually gonna buy that because I saw the ad. So for them to say we're gonna own your entire email list, and also not only that, Crowder actually got into a thing with his last contract with the email list being sort of like that was the only thing he had left, because they basically took his website and they, a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not going to get into that, but long story short, that's a very important thing in business. And to give that up is almost just like, it's back in the day giving up your Rolodex, all your connects, more or less. So for anybody that's ever doing business out there and looking at a contract, anybody that's trying to take control of your email list is basically trying to, I don't want to say steal your fan base, but they're gonna basically, I guess, use you, bastardize you in a way to sell them shit. So you want to have control over who's like, you know, it's almost like your ads. You want to have some control over where your ads go and what, you know, what how long the ad reads are going to be and stuff like that, because you don't want it to, if it's interfering with the creativity of your show, that's where you get caught into a weird place. So you want to have some kind of creativity with that, or some kind of control with that. All right, so let me go into this now. Social media management. We will have exclusive rights to manage, curate, and monetize Crowder's official Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, etc., etc. Excluding Crowder's existing personal Twitter and Instagram accounts during the term. So that term also could be whether or not that's reasonable. The term itself, how long is the term? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? Is it 3? Is it 1? If it's a 1 year, then hey, maybe you'll give it up for the term, and then, you know, people will understand. But that's a lot of power. What's getting put on your social media accounts? What's being allowed? Who's curating your comment section? Are they banning people? Are they, like, they could really destroy your entire brand just based off of your social media account. And then that's when you get into the place of like, oh, do I speak out about this? But I'm under contract, so then I'd be possibly violating a contract if I say that, hey, I'm not running my social media, so don't pay any mind to it. Look at my personal accounts. That could be a conflict of interest. So there's a lot of, you know, it gets pretty dicey. However, I think that's pretty unreasonable depending on what the term is. Like, you don't want to give up this much control. It's pretty ridiculous. Now I'm going to get to the part where that's all just contracts. That's just whatever it is. Now this is where it gets alarming for anybody out there that thinks the right-wing media, the big right-wing media companies are actually doing anything good or fighting the good fight even. Or not kowtowing to the left as much as they might pretend that they're fighting, because that's a new thing to do on the right wing, is pretend you're a fighter, because they know what people actually want. They're just scared. They're kowtowing, or they're getting paid. They're getting paid from big tech. This part of the contract more or less gives the left wing all control over Steven Crowder if he were to sign this. And thank God he's smart enough to not have signed this, and his lawyers were smart enough to catch this. Ad drop. This is now sort of a caveat. These are the caveats to the contract. If Crowder is boycotted or dropped by more than 50% of his then extent advertising partners, that is 50% of the revenue from those partners, and the company is not able to replace them within 90 days, then the fee will be reduced by 25% until such time as that ad revenue has been restored for a period of 90 days. So more or less, that's saying, hey, left wing, if you want Steven Crowder, if you want the whatever big conservative media company that Steven Crowder is working for, if you want Crowder canceled, it's gonna work. Just boycott him and his advertisers, and it's going to work. It's in the contract, so it has to work. It's literally in the this is literally signing a contract with the enemy. This is not a conservative company, whoever the fuck this is. This is signing a contract with rhino liberals. Real liberals in disguise. So literally, just boycott and we are contractually, obligated to penalize Steven Crowder. Now, in a fair world, we can go, all right, that's, it's reasonable for a company to say, well, look, if you reasonably were to get boycotted, and you lost 50% of the ad revenue, we do need to make up that ad revenue somewhere. So it could be in a reasonable, very fair, just world, it could be seen as a reasonable idea, some kind of I guess I don't want to call it a loophole, but something to protect the company as well. Let's just put it that way. A protection for the company as well. However, Steven Crowder has been unreasonably boycotted plenty of times. He's been demonetized plenty of times for speaking the truth. Literally, for speaking the truth. So to put this in there, and whatever conservative media company this was, to not at least understand the it's almost like when they say this is so colorblind, or not colorblind, but this is so blind to what's going on in the world and what the fight is actually consisting of. This either shows one of two things. Either the company is kowtowing and going along with the liberal ideology and wokeness, but they're just pretending not to. Or they're so afraid of the left wing that they're trying to scare conservative content creators to toe the line. And that's what I think it is. I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt anymore. They're too smart. They're too rich. And they're too powerful in the media, to not understand that. So when Steven Crowder gets dropped from certain ad revenue, or he loses his monetization because he speaks about the truths of the COVID lockdowns, or the truths of Black Lives Matter, or exposes anybody, or even the fight of all fights of people just get offended by something he says, or whoever signs this bullshit contract. They just get offended by something you say. And we know outrage, we know cancel culture, and it'll work. And your company that you're signing a contract with is not even backing you in the contract. This is bullshit. This is worse than left-wing shit. This is horrendous. Content, this is even worse here. Content strikes. If any of the major platforms, e.g., examples, YouTube, spelled wrong for some reason, YouTube, whoa, they make, did the band start their own platform? Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify issues a content strike other than a company-wide content strike, such that the Crowder content cannot be monetized on such platform, and the company is not able to resolve the issue within 90 days, then the fee will be reduced to 25% from that point forward. So basically, you'll be getting 25% penalization if some company decides to strike your content. And that's also just based on if it can be monetized. So monetization is insane. The more I actually do it myself and look into it, it's really ridiculous, going through the appeal process and all that shit. And then that's all based on somebody's sort of subjectivity. I don't know if they have lawyers looking over each appeal and each case and all that stuff. I doubt it. However, again, when you think if you're some kind of small time, like me, you're some kind of small time guy out there doing your own channel and you're trying to live the dream and think, oh, one day I'm gonna sign with some big time news organization, or I'm gonna sign with even I'm not naming names yet, but let's say Fox. Matter of fact, let me start naming names. A Fox, a Dailywire, even. Not saying these are the people who made this contract. I'm just speculating. But yeah, Blaze, Newsmax, all these sort of, you can't call Dailywire small time anymore. It's ridiculous to call them small time. They're making hundreds of millions a year. They're big time now. So what I'm saying, if you're a small time guy and you have this idea that you're going to go and sign with them because they're the ones that are fighting the good fight, they're the ones that are going to protect you, you're sadly fucking mistaken. You've all been bamboozled by these fake fighters, these fucking nerds that are pretending that they're freedom fighters. Don't fall for it. I've been telling you, they're kowtowing. And I knew that the second I saw them turn on Trump, the second they could get the chance to go, okay, this is the moment where we can get enough support where we don't lose our subscribers. The second they had the chance to turn on Trump, they fucking did it. And that's what I used as my barometer. That was my meter of knowing whether a motherfucker was real or fake. And in reality, it's because they never liked Trump. But they couldn't at that time, because it was so contentious, they couldn't go against Trump because of the backlash they would have got. They would have lost subscribers. The Daily Wire, had they not at least supported Trump as little as they did, they would have not been what they are now. They wouldn't be raking in hundreds of millions of dollars a year if it wasn't for the Trump presidency. I guarantee it. And I think that disgusted them. I think it disgusted all of the big time right-wing media that they had to, all the fucking nerds that had to go and look at this guy who's an abrasive, loudmouth dude, who's an alpha male, who runs shit, who's a true leader, but he has a foul mouth and he says some off the wall shit sometimes. He's funny. He likes to have a good fucking time. He doesn't have a stick up his ass like the rest of the conservatives. And they hated that. They hated that. They were just as mad that Trump was as anti-establishment as the left wing was. The left wing are just a bunch of fucking flakes. They're gonna go wherever it suits them. It's the communist fucking motto. Whatever we can use in this moment to move forward our movement, whoever it is, whoever we destroy, we're gonna destroy the entire black community and make them all feel like victims. And literally ruin black people's lives, because that's what they're doing with this victimhood shit. And of course they're culpable because they can think for themselves, the black people. But they're literally destroying black communities. One moment they're racist against Jews, one moment they're Jew lovers. They don't know what the fuck to follow. However, these right-wing establishment motherfuckers have been always consistent. But Trump disrupted it. Trump made them have to go this loudmouth New Yorker who used to be a liberal is actually doing better than our darling fucking Ronald Reagan, than any Republican president before him. It disgusted them, trust me. I guess I'll read this last part. Ban if Crowder content cannot be released on any major platforms, YouTube, blah, blah, blah. This is like if Crowder just gets totally banned, basically like Gavin McInnes. Because of Crowder or his content being banned from those platforms, then the fee will be reduced based on all of these platforms. So that's 20 for YouTube, Apple 20, Facebook 10, Spotify 10. So I guess that can also depend on what the overall amount was, on if that part is reasonable or not. But, you know, something tells me they didn't offer Crowder a lot of money, or the money that he, I was going to say felt like he deserves, but probably I should say deserves. Because back to the same thing of the attitude, the Trump model, where it's people who are funny, people who have a sense of humor, people who don't take everything so fucking serious, people who have blue-collar ways of speaking, people who curse. They look at that in the media, it rolls downhill. They look at people like Crowder and people like Gavin McInnes as they're conservative, but they're not the conservative that, look, hey, this is conservative media. We're going to speak very eloquently. It's just, they don't like the regular blue collar guy being the face of conservatism and conservative media. And that's why they lose. That's why they don't know how to relate to regular people who don't like liberals but don't like conservatives because of what they're portrayed as. So, I mean, you know, I've been saying it for a long time. Conservative media, as powerful as they are in terms of who they can reach, doesn't make new stars. How long has the Dailywire been making movies? Or in the movie business, so to speak? And how many stars have they made? Like, truly. Even on our level of, like, YouTube stardom. Let's just call it YouTube stardom. How many stars have they made? Fox News. Look at Fox. Fox News is the best example of what I'm talking about. All these straight-laced political analysts that go on and speak all day, talk all day, all fucking day, can't get ratings, can't relate to people. Who's the number one guy who surpassed even Tucker Carlson? Who's the number one guy on Fox right now? Greg Gutfeld, a goofball fucking comedian who talks about politics and jokes about it. And makes the common man, makes regular people at home, and even makes smarter people. Let me not say smarter. Let me not put it that way. Makes these fucking phony intellects. I'll put it that way. I feel more comfortable that way. It makes them laugh. Entertains them. What I'm saying is that the right wing doesn't understand why Greg Gutfeld is number one. They just go, holy shit, he's number one. Let's just put it behind him. Let's strap the rocket onto his back. Give him 20 shows. But that's what I'm saying. That's the future of conservative media. And look, Crowder is talking about starting his own network. I reached out to Crowder myself. And look, whether or not he responds back to me, I support Crowder. I liked how the quartering, Jeremy from the quartering put it. I just want to offer Steven Crowder my sword. As little of a sword as it may be, if I'm fighting with these Goliaths, I just wanted to do that. And that's what I'm doing here right now. I support Steven Crowder in his fight. Because I've been firmly believing this for a very long time. I've been in talks with some of these big time conservative, companies. I've talked to the Dailywire. I've talked to low time conservative channels that don't want any parts of me. Don't want any parts of Misfit Nation. And it's because they look at me and they go, oh, he's a fucking dreadhead that he's not clean cut, he smokes weed, he curses. He's not a real conservative. And they don't realize that me and people like me who are real fighters, Steven Crowder, real fighter, Gavin McInnes, true fighter. A couple people you could throw in there that are true fighters. And they go right up to the top. Donald Trump. True fighter. They don't want any parts of him. Because they're establishment. They're the establishment. And we follow the establishment. Because we think, well, look, I'm a new conservative, relatively. So it took me a second to sort of even be able to go like, oh, wait a minute. I have to criticize the conservatives too. Fairly. I may have been being biased for a little while there. But the fight we were in, it was just like there was too much of fighting the left that you didn't even have a chance to look at the conservatives. I didn't, anyway. So yeah, I was glad that I was able to like kind of go, okay, wait a minute. These are the guys that taught me, and now they're going against the principles that they taught me. They're pretending that they're gonna, oh, come over here. We'll protect you. We won't ban you for anything. You could speak freely over here at Conservative Media Incorporated. But in reality, you look at the contracts, they're not protecting anybody. They're not protecting us. So fuck them. Remove the stick from their ass and fuck them. We go independent. We have a lot of people, and I'll even remove myself from it. Like I'm not part of the brain trust of all this big time stuff. But there's a lot of people on the independent conservative media side that are way more entertaining, way more creative, way funnier, way more relatable than big time conservative media. Look at Crowder's numbers on YouTube compared to Fox, compared to Dailywire. Gavin McInnes is banned pretty much on the internet, yet I still can't stop finding his clips. There's people that are just like, no, fuck this. I'm posting this on YouTube. It's because he's raw talent. He's funny. He's creative. He's out of the box. He's interesting. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm coming from on this. Where I've been coming from on this. Oh, let me show you one more thing before I do this. Look at this. So Jordan Peterson, guy who I respect, posted this where he basically retweeted Steven Crowder's video, the one that I was just showing you, where the contracts were exposed. And Jordan Peterson, who, this is why I've been talking about the Dailywire, and this is why Dailywire is kind of being suspected on this whole thing. Jordan Peterson is an employee of the Dailywire. He works for Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring. And he retweeted this video, and he put Steven Crowder on the hypocrisy of the conservative legacy media. And then a little bit later, he deleted that tweet. Which, if you were just to take this at face value, fuck him being an employee of the Daily Wire. Fuck us even knowing about the contracts. Well, that's what this whole thing is, so I can't say fuck the contracts. But why would Jordan Peterson delete a tweet calling out the people that are having conservatives banned when Jordan Peterson is one of the most banned conservatives on the planet? How does that even make sense in his mind? Where he would delete the tweet? Like, what's the reasoning? What's the motive to deleting the tweet? Did Shapiro get in his ear? Oh God, think of what does that conversation sound like? It probably sounds like two Sesame Street characters talking to each other. You need to take it down right now.
Well, Ben, I don't know. I don't feel like it's a real problem.
Don't you understand? That's our contracts that he's showing.
I thought it looked familiar because I signed a contract that looked quite like that with you.
That has to be hilarious listening to those two talk to each other. But yeah, for some reason, Jordan Peterson, second guest, sharing this video. And that bothers me because I like Jordan Peterson. I think he's the fucking truth. But then you see the little chink in the armor. And I've always had my thing with Jordan Peterson where my problem is that he cries too much. And that always gave me like a little like, I like him and I want to follow him. But this crying thing makes me weary. I saw a video where a black woman realizes that Jordan Peterson isn't a racist. She was trying to accuse him of racism. And she goes, "Oh my God, I just realized you're not actually a racist. And he starts crying.
This is just such a beautiful moment. It's just sometimes
it's like, shut the fuck up. Be a leader. All this crying shit. Yeah, that always made me a little weary of him. Because crying to me as a man is an obvious sign of weakness. Obvious sign of weakness. And that's the problem with this whole thing. We're dealing with weak people, weak beta nerds that are afraid to stand up and cause a ruckus. It's like the kid that even if it was a good time to do it, would never disrupt class or disrupt a group of people just because it's not, I don't want to get a referral. I don't want to get written up. Afraid to speak up. So yeah, Jordan Peterson, man. That's a fucking shame. He's literally going through probably the worst case of censorship, where they're trying to put him into like more or less like detainment camp reprogramming kind of shit over there in Canada. You think he'd cry over that? If you're going to be a crier, cry over that, for fuck's sake.
I don't know, they just want to ban me. I don't know what it's all about.
Yeah. So it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what the logical reason why Jordan Peterson would do that. I could speculate that it's because he works for Dailywire and Crowder may be calling out Dailywire and Jordan Peterson didn't realize that. And they made it known to him, hey, bro, he's calling us out in that video. That's actually our contract that he posted up. And he's not calling us out by name yet, but Crowder will. I hope to God he does. But he's playing it smart. So I'm not going to go, oh, I wish Crowder would. I wish he would, but I'm not going to be mad. I know Crowder will probably release who he's talking about at some point. I just hope this wasn't some kind of like, hey, I'm going to do this in public. Like, as like he texts them after the video is released, do I have your attention now? Now he wants to renegotiate. So I hope Crowder, I'm going to give Crowder the benefit of the doubt that he's doing this to actually expose. Because he's also saying that he's not interested in signing any contracts now. He just wants to start his own thing. And I think he should. I think that would be amazing. The guy's absolutely creative. He's a fucking comedian. He's funny. He could talk all day. He could debate like a motherfucker. So, yeah. I think he'd be fine on, doing his own thing. Does he have the capital to do it? I don't know. Could he raise the capital? I'm sure. So, yeah, guys. That's what you gotta also pay attention to this too. This is the last thing I'll say on it. Look at who and who isn't speaking about this. Sometimes silence is loud as fuck. So the fact that the Daily Wire hasn't spoken about this, when you think this is something that's important, if you've been speaking out about censorship and big tech censorship on conservatives, if you've been at the forefront of that fight and speaking out about it, this is pretty much a smoking gun that the right wing is kowtowing to it. So why wouldn't you want to expose that? Unless it's your company that's being redacted from the Steven Crowder video. Or some of those people are your friends or your business associates or your partners, and now we get into political shit. The same shit the left does. Do I speak out about this because it's the truth, or do I get paid and shut my fucking mouth and then actually peddle the lies? So, again, we'll see. Does Jordan Peterson explain why he deleted this tweet? I'm sure he's smart enough to give us some kind of logical answer that has nothing to do with anything I said. But this is the age where we have to learn how to read people. And that's one thing I've always been glad. I don't know if I got it from having a crazy childhood or, being around a lot of fucking insane characters or what, but God gave me the gift of reading people. I think it's you can train yourself, because I was very fucking oblivious when I was younger. And really, a lot of it is just letting people talk. Letting people talk and listening to what they say. And then seeing what they do. So yeah, we got to read people. We got to read people that are in the media, even on the right wing. And again, I've been speculating, I've been theorizing, but this is showing you that I've been, you know, not to even toot my own horn, but I've been right on the money with this. And more importantly, this is why we're losing the fight. This is why we're losing the country. So, second guess right-wing media too. Second guess me. Fuck. Second guess everybody. And as long as you're telling the truth, I don't think you mind being second guessed. Go ahead. Fact check me. Do whatever. And again, look at the people who aren't talking about this.